Welcome to Marvel Vision, the podcast where we talk about all things Marvel. I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we've got She-Hulk Episode 8 on tap for you here. The penultimate episode in the first season of She-Hulk. Now, we've talked about every episode because we're diligent journalists. Let no one tell you
that
different.
J word.
That's what we are,
true.
journalists.
No, we're not.
And I think it's fair to say we have had mixed takes. I think this
Ribbit
being...
and Rip It.
We've been ribbiting and rippeting this entire series so far. But this episode, I think, takes some leaps into sort of a whole new direction. I think we've been critical about, if I can just sum it up, the comedy in this, and maybe we're a little sensitive to that as comedy people. And some of the dialogue, some of the choices I've definitely voiced. I want Jen to have more agency in the show. It feels like she's just sort of at the mercy of a lot of things coming at her. And I think this episode definitely puts a twist on that. Pete, what's your coming into this episode? Because you were very positive at first and then sort of lost the thread a little bit.
Well, first off, you guys are a little more analytical. I am like She-Hulk, where I'm along for the ride of life, man. You know what I mean? I'm not in control. I don't think I am. I don't.
You're not in control of your life.
No, dude. I'm just trying to ride the waves. So, wow. You got some great episodes. You got some episodes where you walk away maybe scratching your head a little bit. But
you're talking about your life still, right?
No, I'm talking
great
about
episodes.
She-Hulk.
Oh, I thought you meant great episodes in your life.
Oh, well, that too, I guess. But I think that this was really a lot of fun and kind of back to writing the ship as far as fun episodes and things that I want to see. It's great to have a show where, different people can show up and kind of do some things and peace out. So it's exciting. Yeah.
Well, let's get a little bit of backstory here, a little bit of recap to see where we're at here.
I want to do that, sure.
She-Hulk has, Jen Walters is She-Hulk. She is the cousin of Bruce Banner. The first two episodes, she had some...
Cousins.
She had some conversations with Bruce about sort of the nature of being a Hulk, the nature of being a superhero, which I think weigh heavily, I feel like, really come to pass here in this episode. But once she became She-Hulk, she got hired at this law firm. She's been handling superhero law. She was recently nominated for the Female Lawyer of the Year award, which we get to see the payoff of that at the end of the episode. The sort of head of her law firm is this guy that is very dismissive of her. She's been dealing with a lot of going out with different guys who are like fully awful, I think, across the board. We have character Todd here, who is obsessed with She-Hulk and has been trying to just be around her through the law firm a lot, which we see paid off here a little bit. Nikki is her assistant, who's sort of always helping her, is a good best friend to her. She recently got a new superhero uniform made for her, a costume,
which we didn't get to see for a couple episodes.
Didn't get to see, sort of like oddly. I felt like it was established, I think, 2 episodes back.
Well, we're gonna make you wait it out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yes, they definitely did that. What else? Oh, Intelligentsia has been sort of emerging as the villain of this first season. They're like a sort of dark web group of like.
You gotta be careful on that dark web, man.
You got to be careful. It's not your America Online, which is also sort of, maybe that's where the dark web started.
That's where it all started. Yeah.
Yeah. But so we have, so they're emerging as the villain, that the character Josh, who met Jen at a wedding. He was revealed to secretly have been taping her in their fake relationship, and then he straight up ghosted her. Definitely a real heel turn at the end of last episode, and we see the fruits of that in this episode. What else? Hulk smash is a thing the Hulk says. So, so when She-Hulk says smash, that's her catchphrase.
Nice. Well done on the recap, yeah. I mean, overall, I would say if you meet somebody named Josh, you got to be careful. Those Joshes are heartbreakers. You know what I mean?
Really? What about Josh Brolin?
Yeah, that's a big check right there, bro. Thanos, can't trust Thanos. What are you talking about?
Wow. That mistrust extends all the way back to Brolin himself.
Well, any Josh that Burl. I mean, even in the Goonies, he was kind of a dick to his brothers. But I mean, sure, at the end, he was kind of
Whoa,
cool. But
you're
like, you
down
know,
on Brolin and Goonies? That's star turn. The way he goes off the edge of that road on the bike, he could have died. That bike is out of control because they made him hold on to the car. We're in too deep on something that is far different than She-Hulk. Let's get into the episode. We kick it off with some dude stealing TV, trying to get to the bottom of which is best, OLED or QLED, I think.
yeah, it's classic scenario. I mean, this TV technology is tough to keep on track of. You know what I mean? Every time
100%.
you think you're going to buy the best TV, as soon as you get it home, there's a new one out that's already better. So it's it's frustrating.
So you really felt sympathy for these thieves right out of the gate.
I kind of feel like after I bought a TV, I had the right to go back in and steal the new one after the amount of money that I spent. You know what I mean?
Nice. So then you knew right away that Leapfrog was a villain because you were like, those guys are just trying to manage a horrible TV situation.
That's right. That's right.
So we see the introduction of Leapfrog here. I guess you could call the sort of MCU take on Frogman, a famous, more hero really in the comics universe, who is often just made fun of in the Spider-Man, mainly around Spider-Man is where you see Frogman. How'd you feel about Leapfrog here?
I think they did a great job of making him super douchey. I think he used, it was a fun appearance, and then made sense why he needed legal representation and the kind of twists and turns. As soon as you heard who made his suit, we knew we were in some trouble here. But yeah, I think that it was a fun kind of use of a kind of douchey character that ends up kind of messing with her relationship with the stylist, the suit maker for the superheroes.
Luke.
Yeah, and I thought that kind of was a fun way to get She-Hulk and Daredevil in the same room.
Yeah, so we'll get there in a sec, but I agree. I like Leapfrog. I think like they do a good job of introducing him as just a goof. Like we've seen an idiot. We've seen a lot of characters like this that she's represented. Amongst them, Todd, who we see later in this episode.
God,
but I think
you can't trust it, Todd.
Yeah, too many short names. I guess you don't like 4-letter names. Ironically, your name is Pete. So it's real
The
enemy
only trustworthy
in the midst.
name in the bunch.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of a bad Pete.
That's right.
So the Leapfrog, I feel like, sort of maybe belies a lot of some commentary here underneath these men that we've met. We've talked a little bit about how the men are so just like cutouts almost. They don't have a lot going on character-wise, and they just seem to have a lot of money, agency, and can do whatever they want. And leading to sort of revealing they may be the underlying villains here across just men in general, specifically men who are toxic and have no sort of guardrails on their whatever they can do whatever they want. Right. And that's what we have here with Leapfrog.
I mean, it's a fun commentary on the whole kind of idea of the show, right? She-Hulk, right? It's kind of a statement about it being a man's world and the amount of work that a woman has to do just to get the same recognition that a man does. And it's been a fun theme throughout the season.
And I think the part that I've maybe pulled away from this episode specifically is that these men seem innocuous at first and sort of like, haha, look at these losers. But underneath that, there's like a real darkness. Right. We get that Leapfrog, we get that sort of in a more superhero context where he's just like a dumb hero who is bad at it. And then come to find out he's a villain with a lair who kidnaps someone and is like just a bad guy. So he's, in a comic book sense, a much larger villain than we thought when he's sort of putting himself out there as a hero. Then with Intelligentsia and Josh and potentially Todd, if he ends up becoming part of this,
I think
these
he
are
is
characters
part
that,
of it.
yeah, I think so too. These are characters that come across as like, oh, we're just being scamps. We're just guys who are just a little annoying, and we're just spending our money how we want. And he goes too far and tries to hit on her, but like she just walks off. But underneath that is a real darkness, and it like sort of a festering thing that has real implications and pushes Jen over the edge at the end of the episode. So
Yeah,
I thought that was smartly done. And getting back to the
great.
beginning of the episode, the way the episode starts with leapfrog and then just jumps right into her. Jumps right in. Her having the conversation at the law firm. I like the format of this episode is moving a little bit better. I feel like we've talked a lot about how the structure of the show can be a little bit all over the place, and made us want the show to watch more sitcoms going forward. And I feel like this episode is starting to move in that way, like moving a little quickly, like be able to jump through different scenes and editing pretty well here.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I agree. The show, this episode moved really well. We got through a lot, which is great. I didn't feel like we sat on anything too long, although the lawyering back and forth that happens in the law firm was just so fun banter.
We get a courtroom
really
scene.
Enjoyed that. Yeah, it really kind of paid off on when she set up like lawyer show. Like this is the kind of like fun lawyer stuff. Yeah, I mean that was just such a joy to watch. I could have watched that for a while.
Well, so we get the Daredevil reveal here way earlier than I thought. I thought maybe this was going to be an end of episode situation.
End of episode, yeah.
But I loved it. I loved that we did get a courtroom scene. And honestly, I thought this is some of the best dialogue the show's done. It was really cooking between them. There's sort of in Matt Murdock, they did a good job of not making him 100% like, wow, Daredevil, he's a hero. And that sort of almost too altruistic Matt Murdock that you see in comics sometimes. And instead, fun. He was like sort of a dick in a way that I thought was good.
Yeah, it was really fun to see kind of Daredevil not in his show. So it's like he comes off as a little bit like he's lying, and the judge is like, yeah, we can all tell. It was just funny. Like he was using his superpowers to know that, but it was just such a kind of fun light to put him in. It was also very interesting to see him in the light of day. Like every time you see him in the show, it's always nighttime. His suit makes sense, but like when it's full daylight on, he looks kind of ridiculous. So it was fun to see him a little bit out of his element.
I agree. And I think that what this episode did, which I think is hard to do, is combined two very different superhero tones. Specifically, we've seen a lot of Daredevil through the Netflix show. Oh, yeah. And to have him introduced here, the tone is a little bit more brooding, a little bit more like you're saying, just from a like lighting standpoint or a color palette. Like he's all in shadow, he's fighting, jumping and kicking, and she is literally just like smashing stuff. And to jump forward to when they go to the
lily pad,
like you see a great Daredevil fight sequence sort of breaking out, and like the way that they film these and the Daredevil's movements, I think this is something, I don't know how much people have talked about this, but like they're all really exaggerated and very comic booky. Like when he hits somebody, he fully extends his arm up and then fully brings it all the way down, and it's just so good. It just works so visually and really paints the picture. So we get like he takes out like 4 or 5 goons, and I'm using the right word when I say goons there.
Nice. I just we're kind of skipping over a couple things. I just want to make sure.
Well, we're going to come back, but I just wanted to my point about comparing tones here. And in the middle of that fight, She-Hulk just drops it from the ceiling. It's like She-Hulk smash, and like I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want in a crossover, where we're blending the two tones in a fun way.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, let's take it back a little bit. Like the whole kind of his entrance was fantastic. Of course, he does the whole bit about he being blind, playing that off really well. And then their initial like, who's this douchebag? Like, the fact that they don't like each other in the beginning, and then like the fact that they kind of are moved by each other, and then also the the bar scene later, which I was worried that that's all we were going to get.
Yeah.
Was that scene, because it was really great in the lawyer's courtroom, or in the courthouse, I guess. But like the stuff we got at the bar was just hysterical. Appletini joke was fun, and then kind of Daredevil kind of selling her on what he does, right? Like, when the law fails, that's when you can, like just this whole, like, this is how I live, like, come and try doing it this way, which I was like, it really hit her right. And she was just like, oh, wow, that's an interesting kind of philosophy and idea. So that was cool. It kind of opened her up to other ways that she could kind of be going about being She-Hulk, which was an interesting idea.
Well, and a couple things about that I think play into some of the larger MCU stuff. We get the line in the courtroom scene, the Sokovia Accords have been repealed, which is all about superhero identity. And so he says to her, like you're saying, like, go out there, do your law stuff, do good, and then do better when you're a superhero on the outside. And that works for him well, but it's because his identity is kept secret. And her identity is not. She's literally always, when she's a lawyer, she is most often as She-Hulk. So I think that does hit her in a way, but she can't do that. She literally can't be a superhero and a lawyer, because you are breaking the law a lot of times when you're being a superhero. So I thought it was interesting that his advice is wrong, and then she takes it. And that, combined with the attack by intelligentsia, really gets her. And so I think that another theme that they're playing with in this episode and in the season, and I think it's a smart one, is just identity and how careful you have to be with what you reveal to people. And over the course of the season, She-Hulk has been pretty open. You see her make that switch where she's Jen on the dating app, and then she's like, you know what, I'm She-Hulk on the dating app. And she opens herself up, and because of the nature of these, like, villains, of the villainous men, both just everyday villains and not the larger super villains we're meeting, that's where it comes to this horrible culmination for her at the the female law firm lawyer ceremony.
I also like the introduction of this idea. I mean, as a comic book fan, this whole secret identity thing is something that gets explored a lot. So kind of bringing it up in this courtroom thing and how dangerous it is, and like I thought that was a cool idea, because it's something that she's been dealing with identity, but with a secret identity, that can also help separate kind of who you are from what you do. And then it's also this idea of being a superhero and being a Hulk, and the responsibility of that she is also something. So it was like a really cool way to kind of introduce these ideas. And I think well represented in Daredevil.
Yeah, I think I agree. And sort of, I think the metaphor of him being blind, the blindness of justice, and into that, like, if you conceal yourself from the world, then you can protect yourself a little bit. But you shouldn't have to do that. I think that may be a larger point we get to, especially in this last episode. Like, she should be able to be who she wants to be, but instead she gets attacked for it. And I think we talked a lot over the course of this the season, that, like, what is the sort of twist on the Hulk powers that we're going to get? And I talked about how it may be just a split in identity of her being like, She-Hulk is where she loses herself in the She-Hulk persona, because everyone, that becomes the popular girl, as she said, sort of in the, I think, last episode. She's the sort of find the uber form of everything that she could be, and she's losing Jen. And then the way this episode ends, I feel like it's not that. It's just she's pushed to the point where she becomes the rage-filled Hulk. Which I thought was interesting.
Something the original Hulk was kind of talking about at the beginning of her training, you know what I mean? Of like becoming somebody else, letting the Hulk take over. Because it really felt like the anger got the best of her at the end of the episode, and she's worse off for it, This thing of like...
I agree with you. Like, in the beginning, the show was sort of like, I deal with controlling my feelings. I'm a woman. Like that's what I do. And so like I can easily transform into and out of the Hulk. And I thought that meant we were going to get a real twist on the powers. Instead, it really is just like, oh, if you push me far enough, I will just become a rage-filled Hulk as well.
Yeah, a rage-filled
and
Hulk
I do think that says something. I just didn't expect it to be that was the message. But I guess, that's something we'll find out in the next episode. But jumping back into the episode, they're in the bar. Matt being very cavalier about his Daredevil powers.
Yeah, and then also like his fun line of like, "Oh, do I have pants on?" That's just fun. That's just fun for everybody.
That's great. Great line for any of us to use in our lives. He takes a call at one point here. Mm-hmm. Do you think that was Foggy, famously his sort of sidekick?
Well, I think it was something. I think it was Jacob, the suit maker, calling for help. Maybe Luke. Sorry,
Luke Jacobson, I believe is his name. Now, did you want that to be Foggy?
Oh, I would have loved some. I mean, come on,
Matt. I miss you. Why are you so far away? And I guess the question I have is: would you consider Foggy a goon or a henchman?
How dare you? He's his best friend, all right?
Is he someone who is just doing it for the money, or is he a true believer?
Oh, my God.
Is that what I'm saying? Like, that's the real split we have here in goon versus henchman. And Foggy is either a goon or a henchman.
He's not fall into any of those categories, motherfucker. He's in his own category.
Friend?
He's the keeper of the Daredevil secret. He helps in ways you can't even imagine.
Sort of a sidekick.
Oh, my God.
Like a Robin? Sort of like a Batman to Robin situation.
Oh my God.
Like a boy wonder is what you're saying?
I would say
a Fog, the Fog equal. Wonder. You would say equal.
Yeah, I would say equal.
So if Disney Plus was releasing a series called Foggy that was like 18 episodes, you'd be like, "Yep."
Yeah, I would. I would.
Because they're equals.
Yeah, I'd probably just enjoy the shit out of every single one of those episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely you and everyone else.
Yeah, agreed. So anyways, we're in the bar, and they kind of, the chemistry starts flying. She kind of turns to the camera and is like, "Yo, I'm into this." And yeah, it was funny. She's like, "It's not just me, right? This is crazy." And I got to agree. It was fun to kind of see, but I was also a little bit like, "Hey, what about Paige?" Like Daredevil, you kind of had a little thing going.
Karen Page
a while. Yeah. Like, what are we doing here? But, I don't know what the status of that relationship is.
That's what Karen was his Netflix girlfriend. And like, so I think they just broke up from a corporate sense. Look, wow. Surely you've had a Netflix girlfriend, like someone that you dated under one corporate structure, and when you were moved to another corporate structure, you got to break up.
I don't work like that. I'm, if I'm in a relationship, I'm in a relationship. You know what I mean? I don't have caveats to cheat on another person.
So your Netflix girlfriend, even if you're over on Disney Plus, you're like, "Okay, it's my Netflix girlfriend. She's here too."
No,
because he's got different clothes. He left his Netflix outfit.
He did. We got the yellow a little bit, a little nod to Daredevil yellow here, which was nice.
But yeah, so there is a lot of chemistry here right out of the gate, and but between the actors, I thought was really cool. Like they work together really well. I don't know if this relationship will be a continuing thing in the MCU, but I definitely liked it here. The dialogue was a little, I was like, okay, decent, but it did feel a little bit, I just wanted them to just smolder a little bit more, and they were doing a lot of quippy sort of stuff that I...
Yeah, but once they started teaming up together and fighting crime together, then it was bananas. Yeah. I mean, her heart was a flutter.
Her heart was a flutter. Moving forward from there, she gets a text from Todd, the dick, and she has to go meet him. He's like, "This is a 24-hour law firm." I was like, I don't know if that would get me. Then we get this scene where he's bragging about buying this Wakandan spear. He does the Wakanda Forever thing. And I'll tell you what.
I felt awful.
That was uncomfortable for Jen. It was also uncomfortable for me. And let me also say, I think it was uncomfortable for the guy playing Todd to do as well. When he did Wakanda Forever, I was like, I bet he didn't want to do that. Yeah,
that
and
hurt.
I bet they
That
did a
hurt.
couple takes, and he was like, "I don't know, guys." But it was a
But it was funny, and it was poignant.
successful in what it was doing. Yeah.
It just hurt because I saw myself in that moment, and I was like, "Oh my god, I hope I'm not that bad."
I don't know if I've seen you do Wakanda Forever. I don't know if I've seen you spend a milli.
No, well, first off, you got to have that kind of money. But no, I just meant like appropriation and all that kind of stuff.
Course.
But and when I say Wakanda Forever, I say Wakanda Forever.
Yeah,
from the trailer.
Yeah,
but it was very, very poignant, very well done. Also, super proud of just the fact. I love the fact of like as soon as he started being douchey, shoved the table. It was like I'm out of here, which was great. And then we got to the lily pad, which was such a funny bit where he was like.
Good.
It was just like this fun bit of like, I'm at the lily pad, and she's like, well, where the heck is that? And then they cut to this giant neon. It was such a fun comedy bit that was, I think, executed really well. Like, it wasn't too much set up. Like, the delivery was great. It was such a fun reveal.
That was fun, and it was very comic booky. The reveal of the lily pad neon sign on the building was like straight out of like a panel of a comic book. So definitely like that. And before we got there, though, we get the fight in the parking garage, and two things that were a little strange. Or one that was strange here is we don't get a real reveal of She-Hulk's outfit. She's just wearing it, which I thought was a little strange. I thought it was so built up, and then she's just sort of running past wearing the clothes. But that's fine. And then we get good use of the Daredevil music, I thought, here. And I really enjoyed the line, ketchup and mustard as your color scheme. It was also fun that she just doesn't know who Daredevil is.
But it's also a callback to the Ben Affleck movie where Foggy and Ben Affleck do a little kind of ketchup, mustard, honey kind of mix up. And Foggy accidentally puts mustard into his coffee.
I think that movie's been stricken from the record, from our brains.
Oh, well, okay.
That movie was deleted from our cultural consciousness.
Okay, that's fair.
Like a Crisis on Infinite Earths, except specifically just to delete the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie from. Do you think that is worth a rewatch? Does that movie stand up?
I doubt it does. I kind of, it was the first kind of Daredevil movie, so I really overwatched it,
Yeah.
But
I'd be curious. Maybe that's
John
something.
Favreau, so.
Of course, you're a main man. I think with Daredevil now sort of back in business, maybe we should do a rewatch of the original Daredevil movie and really just like wallow in it. Let's just sit in it for a while.
Yeah, we'll see if people in the comments want that or not. We'll see.
Maybe just like a sort of a director's commentary style. We play the movie and talk about it. No pauses. No pauses.
No pauses.
No pauses. Is that a rule in your house? So we get our goons versus henchmen conversation. This is fun dialogue. Again, the chemistry is just popping here.
But
and
also, them fighting first and then kind of talking about it later and being like, why would you just immediately attack me? She brings up, oh, I'm sorry. I thought the guy dressed as a devil would be the bad guy.
Great.
Yeah, that's just a great moment. A
lot of fun stuff. And I like that it wasn't like, oh, Daredevil. Like, I like that she didn't know who he was. And it makes sense. It's like, oh, you're a New York superhero? I don't know. I'm in L.A. We're sort of doing our own thing over here.
Plus, she's kind of new to the game, so it's not like she's like, oh, I'm going to be a superhero. I better research all the heroes. You know what I mean?
But I feel like, Pete, if you lived in the MCU, you'd probably be reading about superheroes. It'd be news. If like a superhero showed up right now, it'd be like, oh, I'll know about it no matter where I live.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah, but maybe she's busy. She's not reading the news. So we get the fight we talked about with sort of the Daredevil style fight meets the She-Hulk fight, smashing. We get into the headquarters, the lily pad, very Foot Clan headquarters from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. A lot of video games to play, which She-Hulk smashes, and Leapfrog not happy about it. I also love the joke about the math. Him saying like, oh, "I'm gonna
half an hour." Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, that is not how that math works.
Yeah.
Very
It was
fun.
called back twice. It was still fun both times.
Yeah.
I also like how the henchmen are all, or excuse me, goons, were all discussing their names and stuff, and they were all frog related.
Fun.
Very fun. Very fun.
I mean, you don't want to be called any frog related nickname. Not going to be good. Like Foggy, sort of Matt's tadpole, you could say, and that's the only time I would ever use that. Otherwise, I think that's insulting. It's the only way it makes sense. Otherwise, deeply insulting to anyone else but Foggy Nelson.
His actual name. You shouldn't.
Foggy? Am I revealing his secret identity as a medium lawyer, a mediocre lawyer,
You
a lawyer?
don't know if he's medium.
I mean, I've seen him. I've seen his work. You get convicted of a crime, or you get sort of accused of a crime. You're going to get Foggy as your lawyer.
Yep.
You have the option between Matt and Foggy as your lawyer. You choose Foggy?
All day.
Wow, that's not accurate.
Because he'll show up on time. You know what I mean? He's going to put in the work. He's not just going to rely on his superpowers to tell when somebody's lying. You know what I mean?
Wow. So you want someone who's less powered, who shows up on time, but is a little bit worse at it. Great. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I hope I'm the plaintiff in this situation because I'll definitely win my case. Matt Murdock, you don't know the word plaintiff. Okay. You should watch any episode of Law and Order, which they cover a lot of that stuff.
I refuse to. There's too many actors I know in those shows. Pulls me out every time.
You've seen a lot of corpses, actor friends in New York playing corpses. I love seeing that. I love that. I loved in the fight against the goons. We get a lot of the legal advice bit while they're fighting. I thought was really well done. Again, sort of the more crackling dialogue of this that I thought was great. She makes up with Luke, the clothing designer. Their relationship.
Yeah, I was very happy about that because I was a little worried about that relationship. So yeah, and it was fun how she called out like, "All right, I'm happy we're back to strained relationship." So that was fun.
The way that he's like, "I hate you now" and all that, their interactions I was not a fan of throughout this episode. And that character,
well, you didn't like when he talked to the dress and ripped it up. I thought that was
fine, but he's just like a caricature rather than a character, and I just would like a little bit more of like reality spun on him.
I don't think you don't know the stress of the fashion world and what he's going through, and the fact that he has visions. And
that's true. I forgot about your appearance on Project Runway, where you really explored the fashion world.
Yeah, so
you made it pretty far in that season, right?
Yeah, pretty far.
Nice. You used so many things from the L'Oreal wall or whatever. I haven't watched that show in too long. I don't remember the refs. So she makes up with Luke. They have a nice little scene on the lily pad sign. And then
again, classic kind of fun superhero scene. They're on the roof with the neon behind them. I mean, that's as romantic as comic book movies get there.
And I like that they go home, back to Jen's place, hook up, the great shot of all the superhero clothes and their feet. Mm-hmm. I have one complaint here. The music, when we're coming up on that scene, telegraphed exactly what was going to happen. And I was I
mean, it was we all knew what was happening. It just kind of confirmed it all.
Well, but the music started when they're still on the roof, and I was like, "Don't give me like if you're like get that music out of there. I want to not know if they're gonna will they. I want to will they won't they.
You want a little bit more will they
play the game? Yeah, let me see that.
It was on, man. It was on.
Let me see that Sam and Diane from Cheers. Let me see that moonlighting. Let me bring that. I want that heat.
No, dude. No, this is. It's not that kind of show, you know.
But it's rare in superhero shows, especially in any MCU thing, where we get an actual chemistry and actual like a sexual tension here. I was like, milk this. Don't just tell me that they're on their way to a hookup because the music is playing. Like, you don't like sexual tension? It was on, but I wanted to feel. I'm going to ride along with them than being like, oh, they're playing like the hookup music from the minute. What if you walked in? You walk into a bar. You walk into a bar and meet someone, and there's already hookup music playing. Like you're like, oh well, I guess we're hooking up. It takes away all the thrill.
No, man. No, it's nice to know. It's nice.
You'd like to hookup music playing when you meet the person that you're going to hook up with for the very first time, I think that's distracting.
I love a social cue. You know what I mean?
A social cue in the music. Yeah. Oh, are you saying the person's playing it on like a boombox on their shoulder?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Pete. Don't. Wow. I mean, that would be cool if we all we're all soundtracking ourselves. Like, ooh, this guy's interesting. Boom, bam, bam, boom, boom. Great idea.
Takes all the guesswork out. Anyways, I really thought the kind of great, hook up, fun shot of the feet and all that kind of stuff.
Don't just comedy, that was nice.
It was nice. It was very nice for both of them. And she confirmed it the next morning. But the kind of shot of him walking away in the daylight was just absolutely hysterical and really funny. And then we also got it in the post credits in a nice moment too. So it was I thought it was really fun. And then, she's kind of like, "You're still here? Oh, that's weird,"
Well, so like I agree, the walk of shame was funny. I feel
Don't
like some
say the
people
walk of shame, dude. That it should be the walk of triumph. You know what I mean? Like, let's not shame somebody for.
I'm not. I'm just saying the walk of shame is what that's known as.
I disagree with it. I just disagree with it.
The walk of triumph. I'm willing to change. It was triumphant. I love no boots because you don't want to put those boots back on. It takes too long.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to have socks also, which I thought was strange because if Daredevil's fighting crime with no socks, those boots stink. And if that's something we know about him, then we know that about him. Because he has heightened hearing, he doesn't have heightened smelling. And if he had heightened smelling, he'd be putting socks on, I would say. Just a little note. Maybe Foggy could handle his socks.
Your dad is showing a little bit too much with the no socks.
I think Foggy should...
Where are you going? You better put some socks on.
I do that every single day. I think Foggy should be butlering a little bit for Daredevil and getting his socks ready and putting them on him. Maybe he puts on his socks for him and sends him out the door
He's
to
a
go
colleague,
fight some crime.
Not a butler.
Okay. What's the difference? Then we get to this point where real fourth wall break. Weird that you guys are still here.
Yeah.
And I actually thought the asides and the fourth wall breaking in this episode worked. The sort of quick one-liners where we're not calling out so much of the action. It's just a little bit of extra commentary. Great. Yeah. This felt to me, it took me way out of it. And I was a little bit bummed about it because it felt like almost like a network note or like a writer was coming and being like, "Hey, we didn't quite structure this right. So we're just going to tack on this set piece." And then she literally says, "We're going to tack on this set piece to set up the last episode." I was like, oh, man, that just – and I know it is literally calling out something, taking you out of the narrative on purpose. But I think it's to me, it harmed the whole operation here. What did you think of that?
Well, I thought it was just like – I thought it was an in-the-moment kind of like acknowledgement of, hey, this is weird. You're still here. It seems like the end of an episode. And I was like, yeah, it does. She was like, get ready. We're getting ready for a big turn. So I was like, okay, I appreciate the heads up of like what's going to happen. Then the fridging joke, so I wasn't as pulled out as you were.
Let me say, because another way to do that is like because she's very happy with her.
You're gonna rewrite this right here. I'm going to sit here,
just very quickly.
Wait. I gotta sit here and listen to this.
Yeah, I'm breaking your fourth wall and good time by saying this. Right. But like,
if I was a writer on the show, because I work in television, this is how I would have wrote it.
I don't sound like that, but if I were a writer on the show because I work in television, here's how I would have written it. You call me out, I call me out too. Right. She sits up in bed, she's smiling, sits up suddenly. The gala, Nikki leans in. Nikki leans in, the gala, and then then all of a sudden, all of her friends and family who are at the gala lean in and say, the gala, and then we're there. Like a fun, it's a little bit meta.
That is fun.
And it's fast, and it gets there, and it doesn't feel so call-outy.
You should be a writer for television. That's fun.
Hey, my man over here. But to your point, we do get this line where she's sort of calling out all the fan speculation about the villain here. Another Hulk, but this one is red, or am I getting fridge?
That was a nice nod to the comics. I was like, ooh, Red Hulk reference.
It was a good line, and I think the fridged reference also like helps set up a little bit of what we're getting at here. Fridging in comics is when a female character is killed off to support a male character's narrative, basically, in gruesome fashion, carelessly, famous in the Green Lantern series. So that line there is a little bit, I think, sets up what we get in this final scene. The only thing is she's the main character. So like you can't, if she's the main character, you can't fridge her. So like the way that
that's
she,
the thing, maybe it's the death of her something else. You know
well, and I think there is like a loss of her life here. The intelligentsia is trying to do that with what they do here. So they were in the gala. We get this like misogynistic opening of the speech, all this sort of
classic
beauty pageant.
Well, and that's what set it up with the Female of the Year Lawyer Award.
Female Lawyer of the Year.
Yeah. So it's already kind of like a thing. And then right from the start, they hit it hard, which I, lean into it, right? This whole thing of like, they are beautiful and they're lawyers. And so also it was a fun reveal that like, they're not going to just give this award to one person.
Right.
They're just going to lie. Yeah.
Here's
all the females that we work with. Yeah, we're not horrible. Yeah. Fun.
And we get Mallory Book here, which I do like her presence. I'm still curious what the point of her in this season is. She has come out and sort of is a little bit of like just a very firm, like straight-laced lawyer, but I don't know where that ends up, where she needs to be here.
She was kind of the voice of reason in her speech. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I like that call out, but that's something that I think Jen could have easily done. And I don't know why we don't. Feel like we want those big statements like that in the mouth of our hero. Like having her say that would be awesome. But Mallory Book is there, and maybe we'll find out a little bit more about what she's in this show for in the last episode coming up. And just to wrap it up, while Jen's talking, the sex tape comes out on the monitors behind her, and all of her dating stuff just exposed. She's truly exposed here in front of everyone she cares about and the world at large.
I mean, her parents are there watching her sex tape. That's awkward. That's,
Cousin Larry.
That's not
Cousin Larry is there. Imagine being exposed to Cousin Larry, Pete. You would hate that specifically. That's a nightmare for you.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's her family, and it's no good. She smashes the TV monitors, fully hulks out, and the episode ends in like a shot that I liked. I thought it worked really well. She's looking at camera, and it's not like we've gotten a lot of like winks and nods throughout this whole, and people have different takes on whether this sort of turning to camera, Fleabag or fourth wall breaking stuff works. And like I just said, it didn't work, I think, when they set up this gala scene. But here I thought it really did. And it's a testament to Tatiana Maslany's acting that I feel like she really sold it here with like just you see all of the sort of like confusion, loss, anger, sadness, all in this one look.
Yeah.
And that's
powerful.
That's poignant. That feels like the emotionality.
That was a great ending for the episode right there.
Yeah.
Because they were like, why are we, so I felt like they really nailed that ending.
And the emotionality is something that I've been wanting more of. It. Like I said earlier, it feels like Jen and She-Hulk are just along for the ride on these things. Like the wedding episode where she was just like at the mercy of these awful people, and she's just like, yeah, okay,
well,
I'll do it.
That's what it's like when you go to a wedding. You're in somebody else's world. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
People are going to have comments like, oh, they're going to do this. You know what I mean?
100%. But like, it just felt like she's just at the mercy of everyone else. And what we don't get the emotional side. We don't know how she feels about it. It's just she keeps going along with it. And here I think in that final moment, we do get the emotionality of how it feels where she has been just, again, taken advantage of and just swept up in someone else's like horrible thing. And this time she's the target because of intelligentsia. So all in all, this, I think, as an episode was my favorite and actually paid off on so many things that I've been asking for.
Also, it was a fun moment when they were like, who is She-Hulk? And she was like, it's me. I don't have a secret identity. That was a fun little kind of callback to the whole thing.
Again, about the identity stuff we talked about, what anger does to people, what feeling exposed is like. And all of this, I mean, we're obviously men here talking. Like, I feel like as a woman, I think that stuff rings even truer and resonates even harder. So great episode, I thought.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But let's talk about our vision board. We've got the final episode coming next week, episode 9. What do you think? The show is teasing us about a Red Hulk, so I don't think we're going to get that, or maybe she was setting it up. We don't know. There's been a lot of speculation about the leader maybe being a villain here. We have what else is on the table? The Wrecking Crew could be coming back. We have the Abomination.
I think it's the Wakanda Forever guy is the villain.
I agree with you. I think Todd is definitely a part of this, but we're going to get some sort of nod to the larger MCU. I think that's what these shows do, is they bring us one little the connection point. What do you think? Any vision board guesses, or what else do you want to see in this final episode?
Well, I'm excited for the final episode. I'm also I don't feel like we're going to get more Daredevil, which kind of stinks. But it'll be interesting to see moving forward if there is another season. Hopefully we do get more of that, because that was so much fun. But yeah, I feel like what's going to be good about this last episode is we're really going to get the supervillain reveal. We're going to get the kind of what her main conflict is going to be.
Well, and her blood is sort of been teased as I think she's going to fight some sort of Hulk, whether it's, as we talked about in previous episode, a bunch of clones of her, which I think would be cool, or another person that is hulked up.
Do you think it'll be a Voltron situation where they form a giant Hulk or something?
Like a giant, meaty Hulk?
Yeah, I don't know why you got to say meaty, but yeah, all right.
Well, Voltron's made out of metal. If you're just saying it's a bunch of bodies stacked up, that's meaty.
All right. It just very unappetizing the way you said that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a villain. It is unappetizing.
So what is your?
I think Todd is going to be a big part of the villain here, but I think we're going to get someone like the leader or someone else. The Abomination is maybe behind this. I'm a little suspicious of what he's been doing. We've seen him throughout the series, so it makes sense that he would come back, I think. So I do think we're going to get that. On the Daredevil front, this episode made me excited for the upcoming Daredevil show that they are. It's a ways off, but that's going to be cool. And Ribbit and Rip It.
Definitely
Ribbit and Rip It. Folks, come back next week as we bring you our take on the final episode.
Alex will be back.
Maybe Alex will be back. He, I'm sure, has some takes on this episode that we did not cover, that he's listening to this and just crumbling a paper in rage in his own Hulk situation. But please check out our many other podcasts. We do a live show on the internet every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern called Comic Book Club. Come check that out. We have podcasts coming out all around. Tomorrow, I believe, we have a Werewolf by Night podcast that you're going to get to check out. Fun. Which will be fun. Very excited to see that Marvel special. And in the meantime, have fun, Ribbit and Rip It if you're feeling it, and make the choice whether you want to be a henchman or a goon in your life.
Yeah, and walk in triumph.
Go do your walk of triumph in last night's superhero clothes, and wear some socks, for God's sakes.
Thanks, Dad.